Welcome to the Deficient Vegans podcast. I'm the muscle deficient vegan here with the protein deficient vegan. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, everybody. So this is episode 33, and happy Veganuary.
Happy Veganuary, guys.
We're going to start off this year and Veganuary by sharing a little bit about ourselves and our journey to veganism. We'll talk about how we became vegan, some of the struggles we had around that change, how our mindsets have shifted since becoming vegan, and what advice we might have for new vegans. I hope everybody finds that interesting.
And if you don't, just skip to the end.
Yeah. I know this is a little different than some of our normal content, but it's Veganuary.
It's Veganuary, so we should talk about veganism.
First up, new news.
New news.
So the new news is it's Veganuary.
Guys, it's Veganuary.
I'm a broken record. So what is Veganuary? It's a global...
No. It's vegan plus January.
Oh, I didn't catch on to that until now.
Yeah, I know. It confuses a lot of people.
That's clever. Anyway, it's a global nonprofit campaign that encourages people to try vegan for the month of January. And it's not just vegan diet, it's vegan everything. So it is a charity that is registered in England and Wales. So it's an actual nonprofit charity. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, and if you're new to being a vegan, or if you just want more vegan information, because why wouldn't you? Their website is like packed full of vegan recipes and all kinds of other information that would help you go vegan. And they're really active on their socials too, so it's a good one to follow.
Yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. Next, there was a big increase in the number of Mediterranean octopi off the coast of England this year.
Oh.
Yeah. It sounds like they think global warming is like pushing them north more towards the coast. They call it an Octopus Bloom, I guess, when there's a bunch of them in one area. The last one they said was 2023, and this one they just had was a 1,500% increase over the number of octopi than the one in 2023.
Boy, I don't know. I want to see an octopus, but this doesn't seem like maybe a good thing.
Yeah, it's something about the way their eggs are and the right temperature of water for mating season, something like that. But apparently people were getting all kinds of videos of them like walking and mating and like grabbing cameras underwater.
It's still weird if you videotape other animals having sex, guys.
Yeah.
Leave them to their private business.
I think most of the time they're recording an octopus and then it just starts.
And then it just
mating.
starts?
Yeah.
Wow, there's no foreplay?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
don't know. I've never watched one of these videos. So.
Moving on. Finally, scientists at Italy's public research agency have created 3D printed nutrient-dense snack bars made from cultured plant cells and fruit residue.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess in Italy, they've been rejecting kind of the lab-grown meat. So they're going with this alternative approach to just print these snack bars from the cells and residues and stuff.
Can we print them? We have a 3D printer. Can we make snack bars?
Well, we have to have the right material. I don't know.
We need the goop.
We need the goop. Yeah.
So what do you think they're going to call these?
I don't know. What do you want to call
them? Printer-powered blobs?
I like that. I was thinking extruder delights.
It's like not appealing at all.
Well, yeah, luckily I'm not on their PR team. So.
Hey, but if you need someone for your PR team, we've got ideas. They're not good, but we have some.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into our main content here. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we became vegan. So do you want to go first and tell us what your story is?
Yeah. So I guess we have to start when I became a vegetarian, which was at age 12. I remember sitting in my social studies class, and my social studies teacher was talking about how he used to do the Peace Corps for a few years back when he was a youth. And he was talking about how he did it in Nepal, and a lot of people were vegetarian, so he actually went vegetarian for those couple of years. And before that moment, I had never heard the word vegetarian. And it blew my mind. I went home and I was like, oh, I just didn't know people could do that. I didn't know you could just not eat meat. So yeah, I wrote my parents a note about how I wouldn't be eating animals anymore. And then I said some really philosophical stuff about, I can't eat cows because cows have mothers and daughters and aunts and uncles. And I gave them the note. And then, parents, they don't really like to be caught off guard. So it was a bit of a battle, I would say, but they eventually came around and let me go vegetarian. And then I was a vegetarian for like almost, I think, probably 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a very long time. I never met another vegetarian or a vegan in the wild in my entire life.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to college, went to engineering school with a bunch of guys. There weren't any vegetarians or vegans. I did meet a vegetarian that used to be vegetarian and then he wasn't vegetarian.
Yeah,
so
I've met a couple of those.
But then I started working in like male-dominated workplaces and there weren't any vegetarian and vegans there. And so eventually I just happened to read the book Eating Animals and like all the dots connected because I guess I didn't really know like the difference between vegetarian and vegan. I guess I kind of always thought vegetarians were like doing it for moral reasons and then like the vegans were doing it for health reasons, which is funny now because I'm like, that's so obviously wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just had never met any vegetarians or vegans. So like my thoughts were my own. And I also was never really on social media much. So I never saw any of this stuff. So yeah, I read Eating Animals and I watched the movie Cowspiracy and I basically went vegan overnight. It happened to be on Veganuary, January 1st, actually.
Yeah.
And so I've been vegan ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and actually when I went vegan, I had just started working at a new job. So I didn't really know anyone either, and I was going vegan. And I kind of like quietly did it. Like I like didn't really tell many people. I maybe told like one or two people. And then that probably lasted for like a few months. And then actually kind of like when you and I started dating again, I like started being a little more vocal because we were going out to vegan restaurants and like you were like willing to eat all vegan when we were together and stuff. So like my standards rose a bit. And then which actually made me a more pissed off person with like everyone else, like at work functions, like I had gotten so used to being like the vegetarian that never had any options. Like it was just like cheese pizza kind of thing. And so like as a vegan, it's like your options become even less limited. And I was fine with it at first. And then I just started getting really pissed. And like I would just be like, well, if that Lunch and Learn doesn't have lunch for me, I guess I'm learning elsewhere. And like I wouldn't go to that or I wouldn't go to like work dinners if they didn't have solid vegan options. Like I just remember getting to a point where I was just like pissed at the situation and like why aren't people more accommodating for us?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of us. And especially like we live near Chicago, so like there should be no issue with having vegan foods.
Yeah, plenty to find.
Yeah. So I remember like, yeah, that kind of changed for me. I became a more outspoken vegan and then like you moved in and then I don't know, I kind of got into like high protein cooking because you were worried about protein, And so, yeah. Then we started our social media accounts and now we're very outspoken.
Sorry about that.
What about you?
Yeah, so, I met you when we were young and you were a vegetarian, so that kind of implanted that into my mind. So that was always in the back of my mind, like, hey, vegetarians are a thing.
See, I just need to have met a me.
Yeah. So I've always had, growing up, the typical concerns that everybody has about protein and like, what do vegans eat and blah, blah, blah. And, I wasn't really even thinking much about vegan. I was thinking about vegetarian and like basically just not eating meat. And what would that be like? So eventually I found like Forks Over Knives and Game Changers. And I was trying to look into like some health focused stuff and just found myself in that realm. And that, was kind of my initial attraction was one with Forks Over Knives, like maybe the potential health benefits of eating plant-based. And then with Game Changers, it really something clicked for me there. And it was like, oh, well, all these people can do all these amazing things and they're vegan. It sounds to me like there's really no limitations.
Yeah.
So why would we not be vegan?
Yeah. I remember having those conversations with you when we started dating again.
Yeah.
Like a few years ago, you were just like, I don't.
Yeah. So then I just went through this kind of internal struggle for a while. It's like, okay, well, all the objections I had in my mind, and they weren't really like, I wasn't actively objecting, but just like all the things I thought I knew were like not right anymore. So I was like, okay, so what am I even anchored on here for not doing this? So then when I moved in here, the food here is vegan. So, and you make great food. So what am I arguing about? And basically I was just kind of an overnight vegan at that point.
I mean, was it like hard for you when you moved in here?
No, I mean, it really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I'm not sure if it's just because like the food you were making or what it was, but I didn't really miss anything that I was used to having. There were some things where it's like, it wasn't really about the meat, but there were some things where it was like, okay, I like this food. Like, how can we make something where I get the same flavors? Because like spicy stuff, like buffalo stuff, whatever. But you figured that out pretty easily. So yeah, I mean, it's mostly just like, how do I change old habits more than like actually missing any particular food?
Yeah. I remember you were missing like some of your mom's stuff. Like your mom would make you special stuff on different like holidays and occasions.
Yeah, that was definitely the hardest one. Sometimes your parents make like some special thing, the thing you liked your whole life. And I can't really eat those anymore, but they're always supportive. So that was just like a conversation thing. Wasn't too bad.
Your family was really supportive, like instantly.
Yeah.
Really, they caught up really fast on it, even though it felt like it like came out of nowhere,
Yeah, I got lucky there. I know a lot of people struggle with that component of it. So, yeah.
Were people surprised, like when you told your friends and family and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know that anybody really expressed surprise. I got a lot of the typical, like, I could never do that. But I'm not sure anybody was like, oh, wow. When you initially went vegan to now, have any of your thoughts changed at all?
Okay. Like my biggest one was I was addicted to cheese. Like, I mean, legitimately addicted to cheese. And
I think we all were at one
point. I just remember that being like my big hang up. And it was like a huge hang up to the point where, I don't know, I just had never talked to anyone that explained the dairy industry and the egg industry to me. So like, I never thought that cheese was like morally wrong.
Right.
Like, I didn't think there was any like harm being done to animals because I was just an oblivious vegetarian, I guess. And I like assumed vegans, then this is really stupid, but I assumed they didn't like cheese or like they prioritized their health so much that they were willing to eliminate cheese. So like I went basically 20 years of thinking like, oh, vegans just hate cheese. Vegans don't hate cheese, guys.
Yeah, there's a real theme in this episode of like all of the things I used to think seem so silly to me now.
Oh, I know. I feel stupid even saying it because it's like, but it hadn't clicked to me that like cows were impregnated.
Right.
To produce milk.
Right.
Duh, right? But in my brain, and I think it's like the way they do commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
But it feels like cows are always have milk. Like they're just always with milk. And they need to be milked. And like I remember talking to people that like were like farmer types, at some of my other jobs, and they were like, yeah, it like the cows they're in pain like if they don't get milked. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but now I'm like looking back, I'm like, you impregnated them.
Yeah.
You made them have milk. Like it's just crazy. But anyways, yeah, severely addicted to cheese. And like that was a big concern for me is like, I knew I wanted to go vegan after I watched the documentaries and read the books. And like I did it overnight, but I was really, really worried about like missing cheese. Like severely concerned, guys. And like I remember I missed it. I missed it for like probably a month, but I was like I tried every fucking vegan cheese option on like I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
And then like within a month, I just like I was fine.
Yeah.
And like I don't think about it. And like it seems now that I'm like past it, right? Like it just seems like such a dumb reason to not go vegan. Like it was just like non-consequential. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But like it seemed like a mountain to me.
Cheese is like a little pile of fat and salt, and we can do that on the vegan side just as easily.
Yeah, like you can do that. It will be okay. Like if cheese is your hang up, try some vegan cheeses. Like it's gonna be fine. Yeah. So I would say that was my big one. And then like my other thoughts that changed. I guess like when I first went vegan, I wasn't very vocal about it. I was very much of like, I don't want to inconvenience people. I don't want people to feel like put out for like having to make accommodations for me, that kind of thing. Like is very much, I don't want to be a burden on people. And then now I'm basically awful. Like I'm not going to go to your thing if you don't have an option for me. I'm not going to go to this thing. I'm like not going to come to your house. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like, I don't know. I look at it a lot differently. I look at it like if someone had a peanut allergy, would I make only peanut dishes and then invite them over? Like, obviously not. I would make accommodations. And it feels kind of like that to me. Like, I've just gotten, like, past the whole, like, not wanting to hurt people's feelings and, like, not wanting to put people out. It's like, if you want me there, like, please have things I can eat. Or, like, I don't know. I think I will say, like, the one thing I think that really changed my mind on this is, like, at work. This was a couple years ago. We were supposed to be locked in for strike coverage for 2 weeks, not allowed to leave, right? Yeah. And they were like, I was like looking at the menu and they didn't have a single vegan option. And I was so stressed. So like I sent an email to like the person like arranging all that stuff. And I was like, what are your vegan options? Like, I'm vegan and I'm going to be locked in here for 2 weeks without anything. You can't get delivery like it's a strike, you know? And she was like, oh, well, we'll have oatmeal and you can make that with water. And then we're also going to have mixed greens. So you can get a bowl of that for lunch and dinner. But you'll need to bring your own dressing. And I fucking flipped out. You remember me? Like,
oh, I remember.
Yeah. I had a meltdown, guys. And I was like, I emailed the refinery manager and was like, yo, I need real options. Like, I'm a human, not a rabbit. Like, I need fat, I need protein, I need things other than 100 calories worth of lettuce.
Yeah.
And I think that was like my breaking point as far as like, I think every vegan comes to that point where they're like, I'm tired of being accommodating. I'm going into bitch mode.
Yeah.
That was mine. And I haven't recovered.
Yeah, that would have been a really interesting diet. It's like reverse keto. You're 95% carbs, which happens to be the only thing your body doesn't need to be alive.
And it's only like 300 calories also. Because I was like, am I going to have my own fridge? No, we can't do that. Okay. Do I just die? I don't know.
Yeah, so not super vegan friendly.
I would say that was like one. Another thought that's changed my views on what activism is.
Yeah.
I think like for me, I always thought activism was like you have to be standing out on the street and like holding signs and stuff. But I feel like my views have changed a lot on that. Not to say that that's not like good.
Yeah.
Do your activism. Sure. Like whatever speaks to you, do it. But like for me, I'm a very introverted person. Like I'm not the kind of person that's going to like go do a group activism thing. Like I'm not going to talk to strangers. Like that's just not my personality type. I can't do that kind of thing. But I feel like, you know, like I think this podcast could be an effective form of veganism. Sharing recipes, I feel like is like an effective form of activism. Like you know,
education and awareness is activism, and really, but
yeah.
But an education like this, where people who want the information can come get the information, is still a form of it. So.
I feel like even just talking to your friends and family or telling them about the lunch you made, like those are small forms of activism, but they add up. Like that one-on-one connection with people, like it changes minds.
Yeah.
So I feel like that changed a lot for me. Like there's stuff that you can do even if you're not like the type that's going to go stand on the streets, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And then, I mean, what it's changed for you?
Yeah, so for me, I originally started looking into plant-based for health reasons, not even really veganism, just like reading like the plant-based authors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember you were doing that before we even started like dating again.
Yeah, Forks Over Knives I was kind of looking at, and I was kind of noodling around the idea of doing like a whole food plant-based diet, really strictly for the health reasons.
I remember that.
But then like I slowly had the realization, I think, and this is kind of what changed for me. It's like, okay, well, as I learn more about this, there's nothing really in meat that we even need. So like, why are we doing this animal thing at all?
Yeah.
Right? So that slowly for me turned into like an animal thing, because now I don't understand why we're doing any of the animal farming, really, because there's nothing special in them. We can all eat vegan and get everything we need.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on that evolved over time.
Yeah, like logically, it doesn't make sense. That's where you came to it from, right? Like a logical perspective of like, I'm getting everything. Why are we doing this?
Right, exactly. And something else that changed for me was, I guess, like understanding why I like certain foods. For an example, like a barbecue sandwich or like a buffalo sandwich or something. Like you always thought it was because it's buffalo chicken.
Yeah.
I thought I liked buffalo chicken. I found out that if you do buffalo tofu, it tastes pretty much the same, because most of the flavor and most of the taste really comes from like the seasoning, the preparation, the things like that. So it's not even like when I have something now, I'm not like, ooh, I wish I had the meat version of this, because there's really not that big of a difference in the taste.
Yeah. I remember you came around on that really fast, actually.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good options in Chicago. You make a lot of good food. It's pretty easy to come around.
Yeah. I remember like I kept checking in with you over the first few months or something. Like, are you having like cravings? Are you good? Like,
yeah.
And you weren't even relying that much on like meat alternatives. So
yeah, all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that really changed for me is once I started having these realizations, because I've been in fitness communities and circles for a long time. So I know all the typical things, and I've said all the typical things and read the stuff. So like for me, once I like have these things start to click for me, I just felt compelled to a certain extent to try to educate people on, hey, all this stuff you think about veganism in terms of fitness is kind of nonsense. So maybe we can get on board. And you don't even have to go vegan. Like, I'd be happy if I could just convince some people to add tofu as a meat option. And maybe they eat a little less meat, so that is still beneficial for the vegan cause. But just in general, try to get rid of some of the stigmas around like tofu specifically, soy, protein quality, and things like that, because the things that you think before you go a vegan just aren't real things. So, yeah.
It's always funny for me looking at like high protein recipe creators in the omnivore space, and they're just like using the same, like they're using egg whites and they're using like cottage cheese and like ingredients that aren't even like delicious, when it's like you could be using, they're like vegan options that will add just as much protein, but like it will taste better.
Yeah. So that's also something that's changed for me. And I think this is common. I've had this discussion a couple of times on social media or whatever, but it's the idea that like the vegan diet is restrictive really seems kind of misleading to me, because I've tried way more different ingredients and foods since going vegan than I ever did when I wasn't vegan, kind of because of what you said. Like, especially in the fitness arena, we've got like, maybe, 5 to 10 ingredients that we just kind of put on the plate every time and revolve around. So you've got, the same thing over and over and over. Whereas if we're doing vegan high protein, I mean, just go take a look at your website. There's like a different ingredient in every dish. I mean, we use tofu for a lot of stuff, but it's not the same, because like we have like silken tofu, we have tofu in cubes, we have tofu that's like shredded. Like it's a totally different type of thing. It's just kind of like a
soy product.
A soy product that is protein. But then we try a bunch of different vegetables and fruits and all kinds of different like, sauces and, TVP muffins and things like that. Like, I've just tried way more different things as a vegan. So to me, the idea that a vegan diet is restrictive, it doesn't pan out in reality for me at all.
Yeah. I remember having that thought too, though.
Yeah.
Of just like, I'm not going to be able to eat anything.
Yeah. And the only restriction is like, it's harder to find at restaurants and it's harder to find packaged foods. But as far as like the actual food available to you, you're going to eat a much bigger variety.
Oh, yeah. Like, I would say like 90% of the grocery store is actually vegan.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you get into the package items, like it becomes less, but like all the fruits and vegetables are vegan, like tofu's vegan, like so many things are vegan that you probably don't even really think about.
Right. No, I agree 100%. Yeah, those are some of the things that have changed for me, and really just flipped a lot of switches in my head that now make it. I mean, it would be impossible to go back now because there's no reason to. Like, I don't miss anything. I know I don't need anything that comes from animal products, so it wouldn't even make any sense.
Yeah. Along those lines, are there any like other misconceptions you might have had before going vegan?
Yeah, the big one was tofu sucks, right? Because like I did try tofu, just a couple of times, not because I was like, ooh, I'm trying tofu. I was just like, oh, I'm interested. Like, what is tofu?
Yeah.
And, it always came out in like some bland little cube. And a couple of times I tried it and I was like, okay, well, this is like a rubbery little, I don't know what this is, but it's not good.
No, I remember you trying it and like texting me about it.
Yeah.
And being like, this is garbage.
Yeah. And, and I'm sure some people like it that way. It's just not something I liked because I like spicy stuff. I like barbecue stuff. So like, I really like kind of a strong flavor in a lot of things. But yeah, it's not really like tofu sucks. It's like, I didn't like it prepared that way.
Yeah.
Probably should be pretty obvious, but tofu has this stigma anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, oh yeah, everybody was right. Tofu sucks. I'm done with that.
Meanwhile, tofu's like, in my opinion, like the most versatile and best ingredient ever.
Yeah, I mean, now I have tofu 2 out of my 3 meals a day, probably.
Literally,
and a lot of different ways. Like a lot of time you don't know it's tofu in there. It's like tofu in a smoothie, tofu cubes, shredded tofu, whatever. Like it's
tofu in a sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a infinitely flexible protein source.
Yeah, you literally just had tofu in a chickpea salad.
Right. Yeah, so Anyway, yeah, that was a huge one. The other misconception for me was like, I never really looked a lot into veganism, so I just assumed for the vegan diet specifically that vegan food was just like various forms of salad, which I think, and again, I want to reiterate that a lot of the things in this episode sound extremely silly to me now. So, yeah, but anyway, I thought it was just various forms of salad. It was like, you probably have like your tofu on top of your salad or whatever, but everything was like based around salad, which didn't sound very appealing.
I feel like this is partially my fault because when we were dating in high school, like we'd go out and the only thing I would order as a vegetarian was like cheese pizza and salad. So maybe you just thought that's all vegetarians eat. So a vegan would just remove the cheese.
Yeah, the cheese pizza's not an option now. Although I have found out also that, side note, and this is probably not a common opinion, but I actually like pizza without any cheese on it at all. Just like just the marinara, the toppings, vegetable toppings, and the bread. I mean, it's not as good as if you put vegan cheese on it, but it's not like a bad
No, it's
thing.
not horrible. I used to think it was an abomination, and now I don't.
And I think a lot of that is also like your taste change over time. So like even if you were really used to like these very specific things, like that's going to change anyway. And I know that's really common with the whole food plant-based people because they do low salt, low oil. So, a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's all the flavor. But, they talk a lot about how your palate changes over time. So, I mean, whatever you end up trying, you will end up liking at some point in almost all cases. So. Then also I thought the protein options were pretty limited. I didn't really know about anything other than tofu for a protein option. But it turns out there's a lot of different forms of soy. There's like, wheat gluten, which I didn't even know was a protein at all. Literally didn't know gluten was a protein before this. So we've got a lot of options as far as like seitan and things like that. And then, several other things like, you always know beans are like a protein, but, I always knew beans weren't like high protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of misconceptions there around like just protein availability, not necessarily protein amount.
No, I had the same ones because I was eating a lot of like egg whites and cheese and dairy products to get my protein as a vegetarian. So I was like, what will I be eating? Yeah.
And then the last one I think is I didn't really understand that strength and power athletes could successfully be vegan. Like I always kind of knew there were ultra marathoners and Ironman athletes and stuff like that were vegan, but I never really saw any like football players or power lifters or something like that were vegan. So between watching Game Changers and finding the website Great Vegan Athletes, I, kind of flipped another lever in my brain where it's like, oh, well, okay, so you can even do this as a vegan. So between great vegan athletes, like showing off Olympians and football players and everything like that, it's like, okay, so the argument that there's some kind of physical limitation on a vegan diet is just totally out the window at this point.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting because, like, if you're in vegan spaces on social media, you probably feel like there is just so much vegan content constantly there.
Yeah.
But like if you're not in those spaces, you won't see it.
Oh, for sure.
Like I never saw that stuff. You never saw, obviously, you never saw that stuff.
No, I mean, I'm all the time. I just like send people to great vegan athletes because like there are always people who are asking like, can I do this as a vegan? Can I do that as a vegan? And it's like, okay, if you're talking about physical like performance, there's no limitation there.
Yeah.
So like just look at this list of athletes. A lot of them are like Olympic gold medalists. A lot of them are huge, strength, bodybuilder, power athletes, whatever. Like that's not a limitation. So.
Yeah. I feel like if you're wanting to do vegan activism that's not in the streets, just educating people on a one-on-one basis, like go through social media comments where people are saying you can't do this on a vegan diet and show them the reasons you can, or like Reddit questions. I mean, I feel like you can make a lot of impact by answering those questions and like educating people on it because if you're not in vegan spaces, you're not going to come across that naturally.
Yeah.
Which is another good reason if you're a vegan, just make a social media account, show all your pretty vegan food.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone will see it, Yeah.
So what were some of the misconceptions that you had?
Yeah. So I think the biggest one was I thought that, and this is really stupid, but I thought vegetarians were vegetarian for moral reasons. And I thought all vegans were just vegan for like health reasons because I genuinely did not understand like the evils of the dairy and egg industry. Had no freaking idea on that.
Yeah,
like,
you didn't realize there was still a moral issue with vegetarianism.
Exactly. I thought I was doing everything I could as a vegetarian. And now I look back and it's like, God, I was so stupid. But like, it kind of makes me sad because I'm in a lot of vegan spaces and vegans will like kind of be shitting on vegetarians as a group.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was a vegetarian like not too long ago, and I genuinely thought I was doing everything I could. So like, I think if you're having conversations with vegetarians, like educating is helpful. Like,
Right.
And then if they're like, yeah, no, I get it, and I'm still vegetarian, well then, okay, yeah, maybe that's like a little hypocritical, right?
Yeah.
But like, I would say there's probably a lot of them that were like me and they just didn't know about like the dairy and egg industries.
Yeah. And, as far as the vegan cause of reduction of animal harm, vegetarian is still a great middle ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely wouldn't be hating on vegetarians.
And they're like the easiest to turn, guys.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like, let's figure out how to get you some milk and cheese and you're on the dark side.
They're like some great non-dairy options, so you don't need them.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I think another misconception I had was like and I don't know if it's a misconception, but like a concern I had was like I just didn't know what I was going to cook because so much of my diet was relying on like egg white. Like I remember I'd have like an egg white omelet and like I'd have like Greek yogurt for lunch and like whatever else. But like a lot of my protein specifically was coming from dairy and eggs and like some tofu. But I definitely didn't know about TVP or seitan or vital wheat gluten. And I think like a lot of that has to do with the fact that I just didn't have any vegetarian friends and I wasn't on social media much. So like I didn't know any of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I don't know, completely in the dark on that. So like I was really worried, like, what am I going to be eating? Which I think allowed me to be really creative and like finding new ingredients and stuff. And then like when you moved in, I knew you were really worried about the protein thing. So like that also made me more creative in the kitchen. Like, I have got to find some options for this guy so he doesn't want to eat meat.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. Oh, and another one I had was, like, it would be more expensive. But that was mostly because I was looking at, like, packaged options. And and if you're only eating packaged vegan food, like your meat alternatives and your vegan cheeses and stuff, like, that stuff is going to be expensive because they're smaller companies. But, like, if you're doing more whole food, it's actually a lot cheaper. But I just remember looking around and being like, oh, this is going to be really expensive. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when you see like the obvious like soy milk markups and stuff like that on menus. And then some of the packaged vegan foods are significantly more expensive.
Yeah.
I think it's mainly because they're small brands. So they don't have like the economies of scale. They don't have a giant presence in supermarkets.
So we need to make them more popular.
Yeah, right. It did seem that way at first. But then you can always go back to like, beans and rice are some of the cheapest foods ever. So I don't have to buy this fancy small brand thing. I could technically just buy beans and rice.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And then I think, like, the last one that I was really hung up on was, like, I'm not going to be able to eat out anywhere. And that was based on, as a vegetarian, I found it really hard to find options at a lot of restaurants. Like, whenever I'd go places with people, like, I basically had one menu option, even as a vegetarian. So I remember being, like, very concerned that, like, I was not going to be able to eat anything anywhere. And then, I don't know, then we downloaded Happy Cow. We happened to download Happy Cow when we were in Gatlinburg. We went on our first vacation in Gatlinburg, and there were, like, no vegan food options. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And then you stumbled upon Happy Cow. And then we were like, holy shit, there's actually, like, there's still not that much in Gatlinburg.
No, but that was the first time we went to a place that was fully vegan.
Yes.
Which was Cinnaholic. They make cinnamon rolls and stuff.
Oh, my God. I, like, viscerally remember walking in there and, like, we didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we went up to the counter and we're like, so what's vegan? And she's like, the whole menu. And we're like, do you know what vegan is? Like, I remember we were like so nervous about like that maybe they didn't know what vegan was because we had never been to a fully vegan place. And she's like, no, everything here is vegan. And we were just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was like life-changing. We probably went there like 5 times when we were in Gatlinburg because we couldn't find food options.
Yeah, I think there at that point, it was just the Cinnaholic and then like one of the pizza places had vegan cheese.
The mushroom place? The Mad Mushroom?
Mellow Mushroom.
Mellow Mushroom,
So either way, we were eating junk food.
Yeah, no, it was like, we don't go there anymore for vacation because they don't have options. But that is where we discovered Happy Cow.
Yeah.
Life-changing.
What's some of the advice that you might give to a new vegan?
Okay, so my advice would be obviously like learn to cook
Big one.
Yeah, I think especially like if you're in a smaller town. Like if you're in Chicago, you probably don't need to ever learn how to cook if you have a lot of money because there's just like 100 places you could go in Chicago. But if you're in like a smaller town, you might not have any vegan options at restaurants. So like you really do need to know how to cook. I think that's like a big one. And then like figure out what proteins you like. So try a few different dishes, like try TVP. Try tofu, make your own seitan, or maybe like buy seitan because like making your own can seem a little stressful for the first time. But like try out some different protein sources and see what you like because there are a lot of people I've heard that just hate TVP and all like they have some kind of weird taste thing that can, I don't know. I don't have that, so I can't really describe it, but I think it's a little bit like the cilantro thing, like where I hate anything with cilantro. They hate anything with TVP, so like they figured out TVP is not for me.
Right.
But like you're going to find stuff maybe you don't like as much, but like I bet you find a few that you really like, and so learn a couple recipes with those. And then download Happy Cow.
Oh, 100%.
That's like one of my biggest recommendations for a new vegan. It will help you find vegan options at non-vegan restaurants, and it will also help you find like maybe secret vegan restaurants you didn't know exist.
Yeah, we've had a couple big ones on there.
We found a whole vegan restaurant in our neighborhood that we didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Oh, you know, another one that I would suggest, and this is funny coming from me because I really wasn't on social media much before going vegan, but like I feel like if you're just starting out vegan, it can be very isolating if you don't know other vegans in real life. So like starting a social media account or something, or like talking to vegans on social media, following some vegans on social media, or like Reddit, or just like find a place where you feel like you can ask questions and have community. I think it makes you feel a lot less alone because it can feel really alone, especially like I think a lot of people deal with just being pissed off when you first go vegan because, like, you know, you have this big moral realization of why you're not eating meat and animal products. And then you look around and all your friends and family are still eating it and they don't get it.
Yeah.
And like you look at the world and it's like very set up against you as a vegan and you just feel pissed. Like I just remember feeling pissed off, you know? And I think like having social media and finding community is really helpful in dealing with that. I don't know. What do you think on that?
Yeah, no, I found it really helpful too, just basically for the same reasons. Like I can see, first of all, vegan people that are out there being high performing, and then like other people having like struggles and things I can kind of address, and then I can even ask questions and say like, how do you deal with that? So yeah, I mean, it's definitely super helpful. Community is always good.
Yeah, especially since it's really hard to find those people in real life. So I didn't like social media before going vegan.
Yeah.
Another one I would say is like, if you need vegan junk food in the beginning to help with transition, or even like many, many months into transition, just to figure your shit out, eat it. Like there's a lot of stigma around eating vegan junk food, but like, damn, they want to go vegan. Let them eat their fucking vegan cheese and their vegan hamburgers. Who gives a shit?
Right. Yeah. And you know, you'll eventually figure out how to cook. But like, you know, going vegan isn't really a health thing necessarily.
Yeah.
So if you're going from non-vegan junk food diet to vegan junk food diet, like you're still part of the cause. Like there's no, unless you have a specific health goal, there's not really a reason you have to eat healthy to go vegan at the same time.
Yeah. Like if you're going vegan for moral reasons around animal welfare and you need something to get you through that until you figure out how to cook, there is no shame in using vegan junk food.
Yeah.
It is more expensive, but like if you can afford it, eat whatever you want. Like,
yeah.
I feel like some other advice I would give is like being upfront with people about why you're vegan. Because like, I don't know, this is just like personal experience, but I think being wishy-washy on it or not being like totally honest in the beginning, you're only going to get more questions and stuff. Like as soon as you just address it head on, like maybe your first like lunch and learn where you're asking for vegan options, be like, hey, I'm vegan for ethical reasons. Like, are you going to provide vegan options? Like, let people know. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting disappointed. And you might still get disappointed when you tell people, but like, I don't know, at least you feel like you have a little more control of the situation. I don't know, does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I think it makes everything go a little smoother if you know why you're a vegan and you can just say that up front rather than being kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'm just trying out this vegan thing, and you're real wishy-washy. And then they're like, oh, well, so like you don't have to do that today, right?
Yeah, you do get a lot of that.
Yeah. So I think it does help a lot.
I remember I went vegan and there was already there was a freegan at work that people had interacted with a lot, which I guess...
What's a freegan?
Okay, so this is my understanding based on only meeting one.
Not the Parks and Rec definition, right?
No,
Where
no.
It's like you only eat food out of a dumpster or something?
No. I think he actually bought real food.
Oh, okay.
But I think it was basically if he's preparing it, if he's buying it, it's always going to be plant-based. But if he is at a work function or something like that and there are no vegan options, like, and if there's a vegan option, he's going to choose a vegan option. But if he goes and there's no vegan options, he's going to eat a chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And that was a little unfortunate for me because people didn't really understand that I don't operate that way.
Yeah.
And there was like this other girl at work who used to be vegan, and then like she was like kind of on and off again vegan. And so like those are the people that the people I interacted with had met. The only like vegan types that people I worked with had interacted with. So they had this like misconception that I would also be like willing to eat things that were not on a vegan diet.
I don't think I'd be trying freegan after I've been vegan for a while, because my reaction to anything even remotely like dairy is very bad.
It is very bad. Yeah, I don't think you'd want to chance that.
Yeah.
And then I think like my last one would be, when you're first going vegan, watch some documentaries. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting Dominion because I personally haven't watched Dominion. I've heard it's really graphic. I don't need that to be sure in my beliefs, but like I know a lot of people like to see the real, farming footage. Yeah, exactly. To see what's really going on. But I think there are other ones you can watch. Like I thought Cowspiracy was really solid. But like I read Eating Animals. It's actually the book that turned me vegan. And I think it just sheds light on what's actually going on. It gives you a really solid why, which is like, will help you when you're craving things or like when you're feeling like breaking the diet part of veganism. Like knowing your why and being really sure about your why will help you through those things, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I've said before, like I was addicted to cheese. But, like, I knew my why. I was like, I will not ever eat dairy again intentionally. Like, I'm not going to do it. And it really helped me through, like, days when I was, like, missing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely helpful to have something that's like, okay, I feel a little pull for whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, that would be, I'm not going to, like, throw this all away for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
So knowing your beliefs, knowing your why, I think is really helpful.
Yeah.
What are yours, the tips that you'd give?
Yeah, so for a new vegan, I think, especially one who's fitness focused, like don't be afraid to use protein shakes. It's probably going to take you a little while. Like you were saying, find the protein sources you like, but also figure out like how to incorporate them into meals and things like that.
It can take a while.
Right. And especially if you're trying to like hit a specific goal, you're like, so it's just, a lot of stuff we don't want to overload with. So I would say just use protein shakes a little more than normal maybe for the beginning.
Yeah. I think that's good advice, especially like if you were already had a protein goal, you wouldn't want to feel like defeated, like you can't make it work by trying to just cook all of your protein.
Yeah. And, don't do this to the extent where you're not getting nutrients because, one of the issues as you transition into a vegan, you might want to make sure you're not missing any nutrients. So we don't want to make that worse with like 4 meals a day or protein shakes or something crazy like that. I mean, like 3 servings, 4 servings a day, maybe when you only did 1 serving a day, fine.
Like training wheels, basically.
Yeah. Also, take some upfront effort to find like some solid go-to options at restaurants around you. So maybe you could use Happy Cow and just find like 2 or 3 things that, have some protein or whatever your goal is, if you don't have a protein goal, that are just like, okay, I really like this and this works for whatever I'm trying to do in my life. So now whenever you're like, oh, I can't cook, or, oh, this ingredient, like my mushrooms went bad in the fridge or whatever happened, you're like, okay, I know I like this thing from this place. I'm just going to order that. And now I won't have like an issue.
Yeah, like I'm having a bad day. I would normally order McDonald's. I can't eat McDonald's anymore. What do I do? And then you have a meltdown, but you won't because you have a plan. Yeah,
exactly. Also, you probably want to have some go-to easy to make things at home. Like protein oats is my big one. Like you oats,
love
protein powder, blueberries, flaxseed, and cinnamon, I think.
Isn't there also concrete in there?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of turns out that way. Oh, soy milk. So anyway, have a couple of like really easy, make it in a bowl, in the microwave, whatever, go-to options that you can make at home, and try to just always have some shelf-stable ingredients around for those kind of things. That way, again, if you run into a hitch, you just got something you don't have to think about.
Yeah, I think one really good one, like if you're a gym bro type, is getting those prepackaged seitan.
Oh, yeah.
And like just like oven roasting broccoli.
Yeah. Yeah, blackbird seitan is good, and with the broccoli.
Oh, we relied on that pretty heavily for a few months.
Yeah, we had a blackbird seitan mini fridge there.
We literally bought a mini fridge because we didn't have anywhere local that sold blackbird, but you can buy it off their website.
Yeah. Also, don't let people like guilt you into cheating on the vegan diet front as you go, like as you're first starting out, because like I said, people will kind of be like, oh, like you're just starting on that. Do you have to do that today? Like when we go to dinner tonight, can you just get the pizza or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Or like parents for holidays or something.
I mean, it's going to happen, and you just have to be like, no, because then if you do it once, you're going to set the expectation that you're like, you only do it sometimes.
Yeah, it's like you're
really just going to
wishy-washy.
make it harder.
You're never going to win.
Yeah. And then if you have any mental tricks, one that like kind of worked for me, and it's super silly, and I don't know if it'll work for anybody else, but like I kind of think of like non-vegan food as just like rocks. Like
you wouldn't eat them?
Yeah, I can't eat rocks, so I can't eat not vegan food. And I know like nutritionally that's not how it works. I'm not saying it's like a rock, but so for me, it's like when I'm driving down the street and I'm driving past all these fast food restaurants, like they might as well just be blank buildings. Like McDonald's, they sell rocks. What am I going to get there? So
that's so funny.
It works for me. And I feel like it did help because I thought one of the things I would have trouble with was like driving down the road and being like, oh, I like that place and that place and that place. But then not just like now, even walking through the grocery store, like half that food, I mean, it might as well be nothing. Like it's just
a bunch of rocks.
It's just a bunch of rocks. So anyway,
that's so funny.
Like that. Yeah.
That is like a way healthier way to look at it because I think of it as like individual animals and it makes me like really depressed. So, maybe I'll try the rock thing. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
If you don't want to be sad going through the grocery store, you think of it as rocks.
Yeah.
I like it.
Anyway, try some stuff like that. And I think I mentioned on the last one, like framing things as like I don't eat that anymore instead of I can't eat that anymore. That kind of thing's been helpful for me in the past too. So yeah, I think that's the advice I would give a new vegan.
Some good advice.
Yeah.
If you have any advice, feel free to share it in the comments. We always like reading these.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. All right. So I think that's it as far as our new vegan journey. So now we can talk about our myth of the week.
What's this week's?
This week, the myth is going all in January is an effective way to get in shape.
Obviously, that's true, right?
Yeah, it happens every January.
It happens every January. Every January, I'm all in.
So yeah, if you've compared the gym population in January to the gym population in March, you probably know that this is not a real thing and not the right way to approach it.
Burnout is real.
Yeah. And you don't want to burn yourself out by stacking on a ton of new things at once. Because like, people will come into January and they're like, okay, I got my new gym clothes and my smoothie I make every morning.
And my fitness tracker.
I'm going to the gym every day. I'm doing cardio and a workout
I got my
every day.
new journal that I'm writing in.
Yeah, the journal, working out 7 days a week. Oh, I'm also going to go running.
Yeah. I'm also going to, go to the sauna every day and like, now you have 4 hours worth of new habits you didn't have in December.
Right. And shockingly, those will not fit into your schedule.
Yeah. Not for long anyways.
Yeah.
You got to like build those into your schedule over time.
Yeah. So, and part of the reason is because you feel really motivated in January with the new year. So there's maybe a mental thing to think about, kind of motivation versus dedication, because motivation will wane. Like you will not always be motivated. So you just need to be, dedicated to improving your health for whatever reason and your why is in your head.
Yeah. And I think the motivation thing really makes you want to go do all the things.
Oh, yeah.
It's like very exciting.
It's a double-edged sword.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I am going to go, this is like my new schedule and I'm going to do all these things. And like, you're really excited about it. But then you get into like day 15 and you're like, I am exhausted.
Yeah.
And then the motivation's gone. Well, this year we did mood boards or vision boards.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that resonates with anyone else, but like I thought it might be kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's like you throw all your motivation into a vision board of what you want to do for the rest of the year. So then when it starts waning, you can go look at your vision board every day.
Yeah.
And then like be reminded of why you wanted to do all those things.
Right. You want to end up in a spot where even on a day where you feel super not motivated, you're still making the right choices. So it's like there are plenty of days where it's like, I do not want to go to the gym today, but I, try to make myself go anyway. And there's even little stuff you can do inside of that. It's like, okay, you really don't feel like going to the gym. Just like, go to the gym with the intention of not doing your whole workout. Just go there and like do one exercise or do some treadmill and leave. That way you still kept up the habit of like walking into the gym and you're like, you did something. But if you get in there and you're like moving around, you're like, man, I'm really not feeling this shit today. Then you just go back home. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you didn't break your habit of like, I'm a person who goes to the gym.
It's funny. I always see that advice and the person's like, and then I always feel like doing it. And I'm like, well, you don't have the kind of periods I have because we've done that. And you're like, just go down for 10 minutes. And I go down there and I'm like, okay, now I feel like passing out. I'm going to go back upstairs.
But you went to the
I
gym.
did go, yeah.
So, yeah. So I think things like that. I would say try to focus on a couple of little things at first and build them up over time. So I would just like, maybe if you're just getting into fitness in January for the new year, just kind of start paying attention to nutrition, not really have a defined goal that first week, maybe. Maybe possibly start tracking your food just so, and again, not like changing anything, not setting anything, but just start tracking so you understand where you're at now. So you're not, again, doing all this at once. Find some food swaps you like over maybe the first couple weeks of the year. So you have some things slowly. You're like, okay, well, this is like a junk food unhealthy thing. Here's like this snack I like instead or something like that. And
like
then,
dry roasted edamame.
Right. And then just kind of have a goal of just move a little more than normal. Maybe you don't have a goal that's like 7 workouts a week. Your goal is just like, okay, well, I'm going to, get, 2,000 more steps today than I have been on average.
Yeah.
And slowly work it up over time. I mean, it takes a long time to get out of shape, and it's going to take a long time to get back in shape. So,
especially if you spent your December watching Christmas movies and eating cookies, you know? Like, you might need like a bit of a wind up to get into like, I am someone who goes to the gym 5 days a week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, there's a really old cliche. It's like, this is a marathon, not a sprint, but this really does apply to fitness because if you feel like you have a lot of progress to make, I mean, you should really probably be thinking in terms of like months to probably years, really, to undo, whatever you've done and you want to make that progress. So this isn't something where it's like, I have to do it all in January. Yeah. Because, this is going to be a thing that you need to be able to reliably, consistently do month after month after month. And I mean, really, technically for the rest of your life, although the intensity might change. But you're probably going to want to stay active and fit for the rest of your life. So don't get too hung up on like trying to stack on everything all at the same time and just slowly build up.
Yeah. And I know that can feel like really lame because you've got all this like motivation in January. Like you have all this like energy towards this thing you want. But I also think you can use that to like lay out a plan for like how you're going to build up the goals. When are you going to like move from just like tracking your food to like trying to add more protein and fiber or like vegetables? And like when are you going to go from like I'm someone who like walks in the morning for like until I'm tired to like I'm actually trying to get to like 10,000 steps. Yeah. And like have like kind of a calendar. Like maybe put your motivational energy into like a vision board or like a scheduled plan kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know. That's just my advice.
This also applies to like your food intake because a lot of people will start off the new year trying the diet immediately. And so if you've been eating like 3,000, 3,500 calories a day just naturally, and now your new diet target is like 1,500 calories a day right off the bat, you're going to have a bad time. You should maybe try to,
slowly
every week move it down a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to go from potentially like a calorie surplus of eating whatever you want and not moving to like now you're on a very restricted diet and you're trying to move a bunch. You're going to be hangry, you're going to be evil and mean.
Yeah. And maybe if you've been like gaining weight you didn't want lately, you actually just go down to maintenance for like the first month. You're just not gaining, you're not losing, but your diet is still like significantly different than it was. And then, you do that for a month and then you can start a little bit of a deficit.
Learn how to track, start moving a little bit.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely a more sustainable approach.
Yeah. I think depending on where you're coming from, like baby steps are sometimes better for long-term success.
Yeah, definitely. So going all in January is not an effective way to get in shape in most cases. I mean, sure, there are probably people who've done it.
Oh, I think like if you are like a bodybuilder or something and you've been doing this for like 5 years and you're like, I am cutting hard in January to like, I mean, that's like a different situation.
If you already have a routine and you're just kind of like amping up the intensity on your routine, that's way more likely to be successful. Yeah,
this is more advice for people like starting a nutrition fitness journey in January.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So I think you on the protein deficient vegan front have some updates for us. What do you got going on?
Yeah, so the Veganuary ebook, the free Veganuary ebook is now out.
110 pages?
110 pages. It's got 40 recipes. It has sample meal plans at 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 calories, and just some other like tips and tricks that I wrote in there. So get it. And then I have a new series I'm going to start doing on my socials on Monday that is making recipes out of my Veganuary ebook.
That's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fun. We'll see if it actually does well. You never really know with like the algorithm.
The algorithm gods.
The algorithm gods may shine upon me favorably or they may not. But okay, so this sounds really silly, but like I wanted it to be kind of fun. So we bought really cool sparkly dice, like two dices.
Dice. Multiple is dice. One is die.
We bought 2 sparkly dice. Sis. And you 3D printed me this like pretty little tower thing that I can like throw them in and then they like roll.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to worry about rolling them off the table.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm going to roll the dice and I have numbers assigned to all the recipes and then it'll figure out like what I'm cooking for each of the videos I'm putting out.
Sounds like a good time.
I think it kind of fun. I don't know. What we have learned so far is that the odds of like, okay.
So they're two 20-sided dice.
2 20-sided dice because there are 40 recipes. So it's like kind of perfect. That's how we got there. We were like, anyways, he's been doing a lot of Magic the Gathering and I don't think he actually uses the dice for anything. I don't know. I've never been to a game, but he has 20-sided dice. So I was like, 20 plus 20 is 40. We should do the dice thing. And they're always really pretty, and I think they're fun. Anyways, do you use them for anything?
In really casual games, you can use them to count your life.
Okay.
But usually people just use pen and paper.
All right. So we have a bunch of dice laying around, but we got special ones for this because I wanted them really pretty and sparkly. But that's not important at all. It's basically, so we were looking at this, the odds of this, and 21 is the most likely number to roll. And your odds of rolling 21 are like 20 out of 400. But your odds of rolling a 2 with 2 dice are like 1 out of 400.
Yeah, because 1 and 1 is the only thing that works for that.
Exactly. So you're 20 times more likely to roll a 21 than a 2. So yeah, that's been really interesting because I like math. I don't know if that's interesting to anyone else. Probably not. But I thought it was interesting. And it's kind of like an upside down V as far as like likelihood of probability. Like you start at 21 at the top peak and then like it descends after that.
Yeah. So if we just roll them, we can make recipe number 21 a whole lot.
Yeah. Which I think was like no knead bread or something.
Yeah.
Which actually is the first one. Surprise. That's what's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's going on with muscle deficient vegan updates?
Yeah, so it's going to end pretty soon, I think, after this podcast comes out. But for the beginning of the month, I had put out a giveaway where I'm going to be taking 10 clients for 100% online personal training for free for a 12-week program. So I've got that on my Instagram, which is linked in the show notes. And then I sent something out to the mailing list. And also I had a couple posts on Reddit. So I've had a bunch of people enter for that. So I'm going to randomly select 5 people. And then 5 people I'm going to kind of manually select based off of, they send me a little blurb about what they have going on and kind of what their goals are and their struggles and equipment. I'm just going to pick the 5 people who I feel like I can help the most over the 12-week period.
So if you're interested in that, go find one of his posts.
I'll put a link to my Instagram post in the show notes, and I'll put a link to the Reddit post in the show notes. So you can enter by either commenting on those posts or DMing me on either Reddit or Instagram, the word Veganuary.
What if they have neither?
If you don't have either Reddit or Instagram, if you go to muscledeficientvegan.com and sign up for the newsletter down at the bottom of the website, I'm going to be sending out a kind of last call email the day before the drawing, which is probably the day after this podcast comes out. So you can enter by basically just replying to that email with Veganuary. So you got a couple of options there.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of people so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More entries than I expected, which makes me sad to a certain extent because I can only pick 10 people. So
Yeah, but we got a plan for like anyone that doesn't win. We're gonna have like a system.
Yeah.
That you can kind of follow on your own, and then we're going to start an accountability type of channel in our Discord.
We added the accountability channel to the Discord, and we put kind of in the notes there some daily themes that we have in mind. So starting next week, we're going to try to get in there every day and start some discussions about accountability.
Yeah. So even if you don't want a personal trainer, but you like some accountability buddies, you should join our Discord.
Yeah, which is also linked in the show notes, the Deficient Vegans Discord server.
He's been personal training me for a while, and he's really nice, so I can vouch for him.
Yeah, so thanks for listening. If you could review us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, and make sure you subscribe, or on YouTube. You can leave comments on Spotify or YouTube under the podcast feed if you want to get with us. We have several people leaving comments on the Spotify now, so that's pretty cool.
And they're always great.
They are always great. Very entertaining. Also in the show notes, you can go to our websites or social media. You can reach out and contact us or sign up for the mailing list for either Protein Deficient Vegan or Muscle Deficient Vegan on the respective websites, depending on your interest. And I think that's it. Do you want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye, everybody.